I recently turned 41 years old, and having aged yet another year got me thinking 41 is surely far too old to reach Radiant in Valorant. Or is it? Valorant and FPS games in general are considered a young people's game. Old people like me can't keep up with the twitchy mechanics and fast pace and are far too slow with their reactions. But is this just a matter of lack of free time and having family responsibilities, or perhaps loss of dedication to games as a hobby as we get older? If we were to actually put in the time and effort, can older people still compete? Can I still get to the higher ranks of Immortal, or even Radiant, in my 40s? In this first video of the series, we will set a starting point with benchmarks, create a routine and the rules for this challenge, and even get our starting rank in Valorant. I will briefly explain my background with FPS games, and we'll choose the agents we're going to main as well, all based on recommendations from all the various Valorant coaches on the internet. We'll also do the human benchmark reaction test to see just how slow I've gotten at 41 years old. We'll play through our Unrated Grind to level 20, and we'll then go through our placement competitive matches to find out our starting rank in Valorant. So let's get on with it. While I'm not a good player by any means, I have been playing video games for 35 years since I got the original Nintendo in 1990. That 35 years includes a number of FPS games like Wolfenstein 3D, Duke Nukem 3D and Quake in the 90s, and the original Counter-Strike and some random shooters like Battlefield 1942 and Halo 2 in the 2000s. I mostly gamed on consoles back then, and actually didn't play much anything at all after Halo until Battlefield 3, which finally I was able to play on my own computer as well. While I still wasn't gaming that much even then, I did eventually get back into Counter-Strike with CSGO in 2015-ish, and with that I did try a bit harder for a while, and when I did, I think my peak rank in CSGO was DMG, so relatively high, but to be honest, I don't think the game was quite as competitive back then, and I never reached anywhere near that rank again when I was just playing casually every now and then. So overall, I've played various FPS games over the years and plenty of random shooters, both with friends and alone. All of that is to say I'm not starting from zero. Having played Valorant on and off in the past, I've generally been in low gold. I did briefly peak at Plat 1 a long time ago when I played more one summer. However, most of the time my rank has been anywhere from silver to gold really, my worst being somewhere in the bronzes. So, not some superstar gamer, but also I'm not starting from iron either. Just want that to be clear. As someone who still works and has a family, I needed to come up with a routine that works with that, but is still effective and consistent. So I searched the depths of YouTube to find out what is recommended and ended up going with Dopai's method, as seen in this video of his, only modifying it to work with my schedule. In the video, Dopai recommends a warm-up, 5 ranked matches, 5 death matches or team death matches, and then aim training. All of this every day. I will use the same structure, but with a bit more flexibility, starting with a full warm-up, then jumping into 2 to 5 ranked matches, aiming at 3 to 4 games most days, then 2 to 5 death matches or TDMs, again depending on time, and then the voltaic advanced Valorant benchmarks at the end for aim training. All of these every day from Monday to Friday. Weekends serve as breaks, which I actually think are important to include anyway, as your brain needs breaks to process and learn things better. And it's good for keeping motivation high as well. I may still occasionally play on the weekend, but it's entirely flexible. Sundays, however, I will take some time to VOD review and reflect, as recommended by Dopai in his video. This routine will give me the sort of focused in-game time and consistency required to actually improve and do this series properly, while also leaving enough time for me to not have to give up the rest of my life entirely. My goal is always to do more rather than less, but flexibility is important for this to actually work. A big part of a grind like this is picking the right agents and not picking too many of them. To understand how to choose my agents, I went to Charlatan, a long-time coach and a Radiant player. And this video of his specifically, where he's not only ranking the agents, but also explaining how they work for ranked grind and solo queue. In the past, I've mostly played Viper and Deadlock, but since those don't rank very highly on his list, I decided to pick new, more self-sustainable agents. I'm mainly focusing on two. Phoenix as the main, and Omen as the backup. An agent I'd literally never played before, by the way. For the other roles, I have backups in mind, Gecko and Chamber, but I don't expect to be playing on those practically ever. The goal is to play as few agents as possible, so I'll be locking in Phoenix as much as I can. Keeping the focus on just one or two self-sustainable, versatile agents that can help me have an impact in every match, I reckon will be a key factor in helping me with this grind. So while I've done these playlists before, I've tried them out and then done them repeatedly even sometimes, mostly a long time ago, I haven't actually seen the effect in Valorant, to be honest. So I don't know if it translates that well, at least in my case, in game. I feel like my aim in the game is worse. Way worse than in aim labs, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's just about where it's supposed to be. Okay, so let's just set some benchmarks. So we'll start with this medium playlist and let's go for it. All right, here we go, the first run. This is quite a long playlist. I won't be showing all of it in this video. I'll just be going through it and I'll show bits here and there, and then obviously I'll be showing the end result. And that's something we can very easily track then in the future. So let's say weekly or maybe monthly, depending on how much development there is in this on my part, we'll see. But this is the baseline. This is where we're at right now. Right, let's go. $9.35. That's a good result, I feel like. I feel like that went really well, actually. I didn't miss that much. You can see 95% accuracy. That's pretty good. I mean, this score I'm really happy with. To be honest, I do think I got a bit of a good run, like in terms of RNG, so like where the targets were. So they were fairly easy to hit. They weren't kind of like in annoying places or changing directions as they sometimes do. So maybe there's a bit of luck involved, but anyway, that's a good start. Moving on, next one. So let's see where we get with these. Oh, looking pretty good. Not bad. Oh, some dips, but yeah. Oh, whoa, okay. Alright, some of these are pretty close to immortal. Again, these ranks, I feel like they don't actually represent in-game performance, but that's a solid start. I was expecting more like platinum somewhere here in the plats. I feel like at best I could reach somewhere here in the immortals. Hopefully in the near future, maybe. I don't know. Then the question is, can I actually get higher than that? Can I push myself to become like a really proper good aimer? Because these are still pretty bad, I feel like, compared to like, you know, like an immortal player in Valorant. They're probably going to be here in the advanced playlist, and they're going to be somewhere like here and wherever these are, the sort of made up scores. So this here, this is the baseline. This is the benchmark. Here's where I'm starting from. I think you can sort of tell that there's a bunch of these tracking tasks here, at least, that where I'm really bad at. We'll see over time if this is accurate in terms of like maybe some runs were just super good, some runs were really bad. It's really hard to tell. That's why we're going to do this every day. This gives us a great place to sort of start tracking from for the future. When people think about older people like 40 plus, etc., a few of the things people often talk about are bad reactions, and they get really slow and you fall off because of that. But in my experience, that's not quite how it's been. So, I mean, we'll try this human benchmark here, reaction time test. I used to do this as a warm-up, you know, like 10 years ago or something, when I was doing a sort of reaction heavy sport as a hobby. So I know where I've roughly landed in the past, which is maybe around the like 170 thereabouts, sometimes a bit lower, on bad days a little bit higher. You know, it varies a little bit, but that's roughly where I've been. So let's just do this to see where I'm at right now. And the last one. There. So what did we get? Is this the average? I didn't actually follow. I should follow that for sure. Anyway, so I think the best one was 159 or something, and it hovered roughly around that 170 mark, which, yeah, so I mean, that's it. I haven't lost anything in 10 years in terms of reactions time. What actually does happen, I feel like, what I have noticed is being able to reach peak performance consistently. That's how it feels like to me, is like I make more stupid decisions occasionally, or just like kind of in the moment being at that peak performance. That's really the main thing I've noticed getting older, apart from, of course, like the body falling apart a bit and the knees getting worse and all that stuff. but that has nothing to do with the Valorant, to be honest, so we're good on this side of things. And then in terms of in-game, it's really hard to benchmark much aside from just tracking stats. So I did a few rounds of heart bots and things like that, so we can kind of see where we're at, but it's not very measurable. I think it really kind of comes and goes. The other thing I did do is I jumped in a deathmatch. This is straight after, so before we started the Unrated Grind. So this is kind of rough gameplay. To be honest, this did not go very well at all. But I did find out after the fact that the lobby was kind of full of fairly high level players. So again, that's another thing. It's really kind of impossible to track deathmatch either, because it still does have some kind of matchmaking and it's fairly random. So hard to judge, but I thought it would be good to throw some gameplay in before we start anything, so perhaps those with keen eyes can kind of spot some differences along the way. And then, of course, began the Unrated Grind. I really wanted this to be a fresh account starting from 0, but you can't queue straight into competitive games until you are level 20. That meant I had to play a ton of unrated matches, team death matches, swift play. I even played some spike rush matches. The good thing is, it got me playing consistently before starting my competitive grind. The bad thing is, the lobbies are really random. They put you in very low elo in the beginning, and people tend to play these modes not very seriously. They don't really really play properly. So it could teach me some bad habits perhaps. That said, it did give me some time to get used to playing Phoenix and even a little bit of Omen in team deathmatches specifically. I really just focused on trying to get through to level 20. I did not do the aim training or any of the program. I did do a proper warm-up, but that's it. Other than that, I didn't do the aim labs routine or anything like that. The grind started well, of course, given it was irons and such playing with me. My aim discipline was great. My headshot percentage was really high. Like, it's never been that high. But towards the end, it did all start to get a bit worse. For what it's worth, these are the stats I ended up with in Unrated at the end of the grind, and the stats are really good, but I personally felt like this is probably not the actual level I'm at, and I won't be able to carry this on to competitive games. The unrated games count for nothing in the end, so now it was finally time to jump into the competitive queue and get my first actual rank on this journey. So the moment I got into the competitive matches, I immediately felt a bit off. It did not feel the same. It wasn't as good as the unrated matches. I had zero discipline. I was just praying like bonkers, and aim overall was just worse. I felt like I was playing really quite poorly, but my teammates were actually really good, so I kept winning. I wasn't anywhere near the best in my team, which is what I was hoping to be, but there were some good moments here and there. My stats went back down to something more like in the past. I didn't feel as confident as before, and I could really tell a shift in my mental. I was really far more sour about both of my own play and even my team's play as well, and probably not having as much fun as I was in Unrated. I really think this is going to be one of the biggest things to work on, my mental and just having fun while playing. In the end, I actually ended up with 4 wins and a tie, so a pretty good set of games, but I really felt like it wasn't because of my own play, but rather just the team happened to be better most matches. In the end, at least, we finally got our starting point, our baseline rank, and I ended up with...
And where do we get? Gold 1. Well, it's pretty much what I expected, roughly.
That's right. Gold. Gold 1 to be specific, which is pretty much what I expected. I expected maybe high silver or low gold. I was surprised to find so many platinums in my lobbies though. There were even some diamonds, I think, but gold is the actual rank that we got, and so that is where we're starting from.